My wife thinks I'm clueless, that I don't get the rules of married life. So she downloaded a full 300 terabytes of study materials for my continuing education. She even appointed herself my personal intimacy coach, a supposed expert in the field, trying to get me up to speed with a mix of theory and practice. But instead of being turned on, I was on the verge of a breakdown, because she wouldn't even give me a break at night. Right now, she's clinging to my arm for dear life, insisting I have to hold her while we sleep. She even came up with a dead serious excuse, saying she was scared of the thunder and rain outside. I struggled a few times, trying to pull my arm out of Gray Williams's grasp, but she refused to let go. I couldn't bring myself to use any real force against her. In the end, I just had to surrender. Good grief, Gray, we're in a fake marriage. We're roommates, at best. Is this really appropriate? We're old classmates, aren't we? Gray replied playfully, nuzzling her head against my arm. What kind of old classmate is this forward? I'm seriously about to pass out. Can you please just let go so I can sleep? But she only held on tighter. Could you really leave me alone to overthink things all night? You just go to sleep. Just let me an arm, please. I promise I won't cross any other lines. Alex, please. I was utterly defeated. Fina, the arm is yours. But no funny business. I'm going to sleep. With that, I turn on my side and force myself into sleep mode. But Gray's face quietly flushed a deep red, a blush that crept from her neck all the way to the tips of her ears. She always puts on such a poised and confident front. But at the end of the day, she was just a girl, flustered in the presence of the person she'd been crushing on for 10 years. Once my breathing evened out, she carefully inched closer, her face hovering near my cheek for a fleeting moment. Then she whispered, more to herself than to me, "Do you think you might like me even a little?" There was no answer, and yet she smiled. The next morning, the bell rang on campus. Gray had just gotten out of class when she found me squatting in the hallway, staring into space. "What are you doing out here?" I looked up at her, but my mind was hit with an uncontrollable flashback to the night before, and for a moment, I was speechless. "Don't tell me. You forgot your keys?" "You guessed it." She couldn't help but laugh, pulling me toward the parking lot. On the way, I suddenly spoke up. "Professor Williams, I've realized you're a pretty good teacher." She paused, listening intently as I explained my reasoning. "That's why I think a teacher can sometimes change a person's entire life." She lowered her gaze and smiled softly. "Even back then, I knew you were different from the others." In that moment, her eyes were filled with a sparkling light. I looked away, forcing a cool tone into my voice. "Cut it out. I'm not as great as you're making me out to be." But the rain streaking down the car windows couldn't do a thing to stop the rising chemistry inside.